Very good evening. We'll start our class 17. So this is the continuation of the last class where we started talking about steady state heat transfer through plane walls. So we'll move forward, and as you see, if there is a composite wall, there are many layers of solid walls, then the solid walls which are actually in series or in parallel, there is a overall heat flux which can be given by Qx T infinity 1 minus T infinity 4 over summation of R, where R is the thermal resistance, which I think I have already talked about it in the first class. So now let us examine this composite wall. What you can see here, like T infinity 1 is far away from the surface. The surface is at temperature of T1, okay? And then it is T2, T3, and like that. Then T4, and then again far away is T infinity 4, right? So here actually what is happening, there is a convection happening. The moment heat loss happens, the heat transfer occurs from this surface to here. And then these solid walls, there is the first layer is a convection, then this over this three layer there is a heat conduction, right? And then finally again from this surface to here, it is convection or convective heat transfer. So overall, there are actually three heat transfer through conduction and two layers or on the atmosphere heat transfer through convection. So if I substitute the values, what you can see, the heat flux is proportional to T infinity 1 minus T infinity 4. Infinity 1 is this one and T infinity 4 is this one. So this is hot fluid, this is cold fluid. So you can assume there is some hot fluid being surrounded this metal wall. That can be anything. It can be some water, it can be even just simply air, hot air, okay. Simply hot air can also be taken into consideration. So now most important is this. So what will be the individual thermal resistance? For the first convective heat transfer, it will be 1 by H1A. And for each solid wall, it will be L by K. Now you are multiplying this by A because A is common, the area is common. We can consider it's a unit area, so A will be 1. But if you don't consider it's the unit area, then you have to multiply by area. For each layer you multiply, and then finally 1 by H4A. So Qx will be T infinity 1 minus Ts1, 1 by. Now this is the overall heat transfer coefficient. Now for each surface layer or each layer, there will be similar heat flux. So you can actually write down this also. Qx T infinity 1 minus Ts1, this is for this surface, 1 by H1A, which will be equal to Ts1 minus Ts2. This is Ts1 minus T2, right? Ts1 minus T2, La by K by A. Similarly, T2 minus T3, Lb by Kb by 3, and so on, right? So I hope you understand, you can visualize this problem in terms of a resistive circuit where you can see this is T infinity 1 and each layer is actually the thermal resistance, which is first layer given by 1 by H1A, second layer given by La, Ka, so on, right? So this can be visualized, the thermal resistance can be visualized in kind of resistive elemental circuit. The same concept which can be utilized here, okay. Now most important is the overall heat transfer coefficient, which is the crux of this talk. So what happens, instead of considering each individual layer, we can substitute all this individual thermal resistance by using a overall heat transfer coefficient given by U. Okay, it is often convenient to work with an overall heat transfer coefficient, which is given by capital U, and as per Newton's law of cooling, what is actually convective heat transfer equations, it can be given flux equal to Qx equal to UA times delta T. Delta T is the temperature difference, U is the overall heat transfer coefficient, and A is the area over which the heat transfer happening, right? And delta T is the overall heat transfer coefficient. So that should be, for this problem, delta T would be T infinity 1 minus T infinity 4. So if you write down this, the previous equation which I discussed, so U will be 1 over R total by A, okay, where R total is, this can be given by 1 by HA by LA by A, right? LB by KB, similar, right? So in general, we may write R total, that is the thermal resistance, is equal to summation of individual thermal resistance, which is nothing but temperature difference, overall temperature difference divided by heat flux, which can be given by 1 by UA. So the equation most important to remember is the thermal resistance is nothing but is equal to 1 over UA, or you can say thermal resistance into area is equal to 1 by U. So this equation will be very, very useful while you solve some numericals. Okay. Now here is another examples being given. If thermal circuits are actually in series and parallel, you can see this is in series, this two is in series, and this is again on series, but there are two thermal circuits which are actually in parallel, right? So if I visualize this circuit here, so each layer will have, this is actually series, then these two layers are actually in parallel, and then again it is in series. Okay. Here actually all the series circle, the series resistance can also be divided into two parallel resistance, right? And then all the three are actually in parallel circuits. Just for visualizations. Now I think in the first class we talked about one parameter called thermal contact resistance, which actually taken into consideration when you do any problem related to multiple layers or multiple walls are being connected, and there is some sort of surface roughness which actually plays a small sports and bring down the temperature drop, okay, which actually due to the heat loss at the surface. So this is happens when the surface are not smooth and there is some temperature drop, okay. So that is known as thermal contact resistance, right? If there is a perfect thermal contact at the interface, there will be no temperature drop, so thermal contact resistance will be very minimal or negligible. But in reality, even the flat surface, which appears smooth in the naked eyes, actually contains a lot of rough surface. If you see under microscope, right, you can see here, right? You can see here, visualize the two surfaces which are joined. There is a lot of like irregularities or surface roughness, due to which there is a temperature drop. So here it is temperature TA and there is a temperature TB. So the delta T, which is actually given by TA minus TB, happens due to the thermal resistance, thermal contact resistance, and that thermal contact resistance is given by RTC, which is nothing but the temperature drop over unit flux, right? So how can you minimize or how can you decrease the thermal contact resistance? We can do it by increasing the joint pressure or reducing the roughness of the surface, or by using an interfacial fluid which has very high thermal conductivity. So if it has very high thermal conductivity, it will prevent the temperature drop, right? So here actually some parameters are actually given for different materials, how the thermal resistance varies. You can see the first table, if the thermal contact resistance for metallic interface under vacuum condition, stainless steel, copper, magnesium, aluminum, and then if these two layers are actually in touch and there is a pressurized, if it is in pressurized condition, you can see the pressure is varying. Then what happens? The thermal resistance decreases, right? You can see for stainless steel, if the pressure, the contact pressure is increasing, then the thermal resistance decreases. But among all the metals, since as the thermal conductivity increases from, you see, copper and aluminum has very low thermal contact resistance because it has very high thermal conductivity. And if you by some means you increase the contact pressure, then obviously the thermal contact resistance decreases further. And then here some interfacial fluids with different interfacial fluids you can see, which is having different thermal conductivity. Now the second table is actually thermal contact resistance of an aluminum solid-solid interface, which are actually being connected or which are being supplied with some sort of another metal or another like some sort of grease, some sort of coating. As you can see, silicon chip and lapped aluminum to here, it is having a thermal contact resistance 0.6, but if you have an indium foil, which is having very high thermal conductivity, the contact resistance drop. So by doing different, trial and error and using different types of material, you can actually minimize the thermal contact resistance. Right? The moment there is a thermal contact resistance, why it is very, very important for industry? Because if there is a thermal contact resistance, the temperature will drop, right? And there will be some sort of heat loss. So that is why people try to avoid thermal contact resistance. Now we'll go through some numericals. I think in the first class also I discussed with you a couple of different numericals. So let us see a couple of numericals here, and then I'll give you some numericals to solve in the class. You can solve it and then you can submit to me, turn over to me in the next class. So let us see first the expression. Now, the first problem given, derive an expression for the heat loss per meter square of a surface area on a furnace wall. Furnace wall is given here. With the thermal conductivity varies with the temperature according to the relation. So the equation for thermal conductivity is given K equal to A plus BT square watt per meter C, where T is in degree C. Find the rate of heat transfer through the wall. If L is given 0.2 meter, T1 and T2 are given 330 C, and A, the area is given, A is the parameters, given 0.3 and B given 5 into 10 to the minus 6. Now rate of heat transfer, I think all know the Fourier's first law is equal to Q equal to thermal conductivity divided in times delta T, that is the temperature difference, by L. Now here K is given, right? Sorry, Km is K. So if you write down, Km will be minus 1 T1 minus T2 T1 to KT dt, right? Where K is a function of Ft, right? Since K is a function of Ft, K is a function of T, you can see A plus BT square. You can write down Km because all the parameters are constant except T1 minus T2. So you can write down Q by L, L by Q, and minus T1 by T2, T1 to K dt, right? K is a function of T. Then you substitute the value of K, and you can solve for Km, right? Because you know that T1 and T2 temperature is varying between T1 and T2. So finally you get A plus B by 3 times T1 square plus T1 T2 T2 square. So Q will be, what will be the Q? So this Km will be substituted by this parameter and then T1 minus T2 by L. That is the required expression. Now rate of heat transfer per meter square, L is given. Everything, all the parameters given. So if you put the value and then you solve for it, then it becomes 629.77 watt per meter square. So first is this is a generalized expression given. So I hope this is Km. I think here actually the Km is being used because it's a mean. We are considering it's a mean thermal conductivity, which is simple, which is same as K here. Okay, so you can substitute that and then you solve for K, and then finally you get the expression and you can substitute here. Next problem, you can see the surface of a plane wall of thickness, similar type of problem. Surface of a plane wall thickness L are maintained at temperature T1 and T2. The thermal conductivity wall material varies according to the relation K equal to K naught T square. Derive an expression to find the steady state conduction through the wall and find the temperature at which mean thermal conductivity be evaluated in order to get the same heat flow by substitution in the simplified Fourier's equation. Thickness of the wall given, temperature at the surface are given, relation of variation of thermal conductivity, that is given K equal to K naught T square. So again, simple solution. Here the equation is Q equal to minus Ka dt dx. K equation given K naught T square A dt dx. So you substitute, integrate between 0 to L and then T1 to T2. All the parameters you take it out. So you get QL equal to minus K083 by T2 square minus T1 T2 cube minus T1 cube. So equation is Q equal to K naught A by 3L T1 cube minus T2 cube. Right. So temperature Tm, that is the mean temperature, how will determine? If the above heat flow is obtained by substituting mean value of thermal conductivity in the simplified Fourier's equation, then we have Q equal to K. So instead of K naught A 3L A T1 cube minus T2 cube, you can write down the expression simply by Km. This is the expression we derive. Now we are writing the simple expression. So here instead of K, we are writing Km. A and then dt is T1 minus T2 divided by L. So what will be the Km? Km will be again by this formula K naught Tm square, right? So then all these equations are equal, so that Tm square, all these parameters are cancelled. So Tm square become, so L cancel. You just take these sides and then all the parameters L and other parameters cancel, and then finally Tm become T1 square plus T2 square plus T1 T2 divided by 3. I hope you understand. This is the simple expression because it was calculated to first you calculate the expression, second you find the temperature at which mean thermal conductivity evaluated in order to get the same heat flow by substituting the simplified Fourier's flow. So mean thermal conductivity here derive this expression. Let us look into another numericals. It is given a mild steel tank of wall thickness 12 mm contains water at 95 C. The thermal conductivity of mild steel is 50 watt per meter C, and the heat transfer coefficient for the inside and outside tanks are given 2850 and 10 watt per meter square C. Heat transfer coefficients. Okay. If the atmosphere temperature is 15 C, calculate the rate of heat loss per meter square of the tank surface area and the temperature of the outside surface of the tank. So all the parameters given, right? Inside temperature given hot fluid 95, there is a temperature drop T1, then T2, and then finally outside temperature 15. This is water. This is tank wall thickness given 12 meter. So you have given the figure. Thickness of the mild steel wall given 12 millimeter. Temperature of the water 95, temperature of the air 15. Thermal conductive mild steel given 50 watt per meter C. Heat transfer coefficient, because for water you need heat transfer coefficient. For hot fluid and cold fluids are given. So what will be the rate of heat loss per meter square? We can substitute by rate of heat loss Q equal to UA delta T. See here we are writing U. U is the overall heat transfer coefficient. So the overall heat transfer coefficient can be written 1 over U equal to simple formula. The formula I have already shown you. 1 by U equal to 1 by HF L by K plus 1 by HCF. So you plug this value, calculate U, and then heat flux. Simple formula again. A is 1, so U A, and then 95 minus 15. So the overall heat transfer loss is overall heat flux is 795.2 watt per meter square. Now temperature of the outside interface, that is the T2, will be again Q equal to HCF, that is for the heat loss between this and this, into 1 T2 minus TCF, right? Because heat flux are same for all that surface. We have already calculated Q. You know the TCF, that is 15. You know HCF, everything you know. So solve for T2 and you get 94.5. That's all. It's very simple if you understand the problem. If you don't understand, then it will be very difficult. I'm telling you. You have to understand the problem and visualize what actually been asked to calculate. Let us examine another numerical, so it's become very easy for you all. It is given a metal plate of 4 millimeter thickness. K is given 95.5 watt per meter C. Is exposed to vapor at 100 C on one side and cooling water at 25 C. So this is a metal plate. One side is hot water at 100 C and another is cooling water at 25 C. The heat transfer coefficient on vapor side and water side are given 14,500 watt per meter square C and 2250 watt per meter square respectively. Determine the rate of heat transfer, the overall heat transfer coefficient, and the temperature drop each side of the heat transfer. So again, it's very simple. You can visualize this problem by doing a resistive type of circuit. So here it is 100, here it is 25. Here there is a resistance here, there is a resistance here, there is a resistance here. There are 3 resistances, right? All the parameters are given. Thickness of the metal plate, thermal conductivity of the plate is given, temperature of the vapor given, temperature of the cold fluid given. See here HF and CF. You can see HF and HCF. HF stands for hot fluid, CF stands for cold fluid. H is the convective heat transfer coefficient. Okay, so please make sure you know all these things. Okay. Though it will be THF, it is written HHF. HHF is actually here. 1450 is a typo here. It should be THF. And that should be TCF. Vapor side given HHF, HCF. The rate of heat loss again Q delta T overall by R thermal, right? So delta T is actually THF minus TCF and R thermal total. That is R thermal for convection here, R thermal for metal wall here, and then R thermal for convective in the cold fluid here. So again, you put all the value, you know all the parameters, and then calculate heat transfer 1.35 into 10 to the power 5. You can calculate using the overall heat transfer coefficient also. Same example, same problem. You can Q equal to QA by delta T overall. So U is equal to Q by A delta T. Now A is 1, that is the area. So actually it will become Q by A become Q by delta T. You have already calculated Q, you know the delta T. So actually U will be 1800 watt per meter. Now temperature drop at each side will be Q will be QHF, Q1 to QCF. Each will be 1.35 10 to the power 5 watt per meter square. Now if for first case you can calculate QHF, delta T HF or thermal convective HF, right? So delta T HF is 1.35 because QHF is 1.35 into 10 to the power minus 10 to the power 5, and R thermal is given 1 by 1450, right? To calculate this is 9.31. The temperature drop will be 9 because you have to calculate temperature drop, not temperature. So there will be 9.31. Similarly, second problem you can calculate temperature drop 5.62, and finally the last one 60 C. Okay, you can look into this later on. It's very easy. Just for each layer you have to calculate the temperature drop. Finally, last problem. It is given a cold storage Room wall has made of 220 millimeter of brick. On the outside, 90 millimeter of plastic foam, and finally 60 millimeter of wood on the inside. The outside and inside air temperature are 25°C and -3°C respectively. This is a cold storage room. Okay. If the inside and outside heat transfer coefficient are respectively given 30 and 11 watt per meter square C, and the thermal conductivities of bricks, foam, and wood are given 0.99, 0.022, and 0.17 watt per meter square C. Determine the rate of heat removal by refrigeration. If the total wall area is given 85 meters square, the temperature of the inside surface of the brick. So again, let us look into this. There is a hot fluid, there is a brick, foam, and wood. Inside temperature -3, outside 25°C. All the individual layer thickness given 220 meter brick. The foam given 90 millimeter, right? And wool, did it given wool? I think 16 millimeter wool, right? So it's all are given, right? Thickness of the wood is given 16 millimeter. Hot fluid is given 25. Cold fluid -3. Hot fluid heat convective heat transfer given. Cold fluid convective heat transfer given. Thermal conductivity, brick, foam, wood, all are given. Area is given. So again, rate of heat transfer Q equal to simple formula UA delta TF. Now 1 by U equal to 1 by HF, LA by K, LB by KB, LC by KC, by 1 by C. So all the parameters you put this and then calculate for Q. Sorry, U equal to get 0.2207 watt per meter square C. So Q will be U into A. A is not 1 here, 85 millimeter square. You multiply 85. Then temperature difference. So it will become 525.261. Temperature of the inside surface of the brick T2. So you have to calculate T2. This is right. So you just substitute for this brick. You can calculate Q equal to UA THF minus T2, right? Q you know, right? So U will be 1 by HF by LA by K only for this area. And then A THF minus T2. So you put this value, A is known. T2 is not known. So you solve for T2, it will be 23.06. So from here to here only temperature difference is a little bit 2 degrees, right? I think this is the final numerical. Let us review this problem also. I'll give you a couple of more numerical to solve so that you can always look back this solve numerical and then find out help if you need any more doubt. Okay, because this solve numericals are actually it will be very good guideline for you all. If you don't understand the theory, you can always look into this solve numerical and see how it has been calculated. Okay, so let's finally look into this example. The furnace wall consists of 120 millimeter wide refractory brick and 120 millimeter wide insulating fabric. Here it is separated by an air gap. So you can see there is an air gap, right, between the refractory and insulating fabric. The outside wall is covered with a 12 millimeter thickness of plaster here. The inner surface of the wall is at 1090°C. So this is at 1090°C. And the room temperature is 20°C. It is 20°C. The heat transfer coefficient from the outside wall surface to the air in the room is 18 watt per meter square C, and the resistance to heat flow in air gap is, so the thermal contact resistance is given 0.16 kilo per Kelvin per watt. If the thermal conductivity of the refractory brick, insulating fabric, and plasters are given 1.6, 0.3, and 0.14 watt per meter Kelvin respectively, calculate rate at which heat loss is per meter square of the wall surface, each interface temperature, and temperature of the outside surface of the wall. That is this T5. So here actually there are many problems. Here the surface temperature given, then T2 and T3 because there is a temperature drop due to contact resistance. Then finally here T4 and then T5, right? Finally T6 is given 20°C. All the thickness are given. And this one is not given because for the air gap, thermal contact resistance given. So all the parameters have been listed here. So calculation will be very easy. Q will be delta T by LA by K, then air gap resistance, LB by KB, LC by KC by 1 by HC. Because that is what is happening. So you LA, K, all the parameters you see, you have directly air gap resistance, which is actually 0.16 Kelvin per watt is being substituted here. And then for all other parameters, you substitute this value and then solve for Q, which is 1.3785 kilowatt. Now temperature at the interface, how will determine? Simple. Q you know, then here from here to here 1090 minus T2, then LA by K for this layer. So you know all the parameters. You solve for T2, you get 988, 6.6. Similarly, for air gap, this T2 and T3, that will be taken 1378.5 divided by equal to T2 minus T3 divided by air gap resistance. T2 you have already calculated. You can solve for T3. So that will be 766.0. Finally, T3 and T4 you can calculate from between this layer. 1378.5 T3 minus T4 divided by LB by KB. You have already calculated T3. You substitute that and then solve for T4 to 14.64. So this will be 214.61. Then finally, T5. So you have to T5 for the plaster, the Paris mold, plaster of Paris mold. T4 minus T5 divided by LC by KC, which will be equal to Q. You have calculated T4, then you solve for T5 and get 96.5. I hope you understand.